Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. We're so lucky to be joined here with Daughter, a great band from London. Would you guys just mind introducing yourselves to our listeners?
Sure.
Oh, so I'm Eleanor.
And I'm Igor.
Igor, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Is there, I know I just asked this, but is there anyone you guys are looking forward to seeing today?
I'd love to see Alabama Shakes later. I think that'd be a really, really good show. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, same. And our friend Ben Howard's playing as well, so that's always nice to see him.
And I remember you guys opening for them. That must have been such a cool experience.
Yeah, we're actually following him around, and all of them around on tour. So we're going to be playing, is it 5 shows with him?
Four of his shows.
Yeah, so it's so nice to kind of be back on the road with that gang because they're wonderful friends, so yeah.
Awesome. And then I have to bring this up. You guys toured with the National also in 2013, which just seems like a match made in heaven. And I don't know if you knew this, but Aaron Dresner actually created this festival.
Oh,
so
no way.
He curated the lineup for the first few years, and he was instrumental in bringing it to Boston. But what did you guys think of that, and what was it sort of like to tour with them?
It was really nice, really nice. It did feel like a nice match, like musically to sort of open for them. And we were just watching their show pretty much every night. And the venues they were playing were beautiful as well. I think we had just an amazing time, and it was so nice of them to invite us on tour, and we've done a few things with them since. It's been great. And
did they give you any advice, or any of these, sort of bigger acts give you any advice that you've sort of taken to heart, or?
I think one that was pretty good was, because they all have families now and everything, and so they were just sort of about just keeping a gentler pace with live shows and just making sure to have breaks, and so that was and I think we're kind of newer and younger, so we're just kind of hitting it a bit harder, but I think next year we're definitely going to try to make sure that we stay sane.
I think also just watching them play, and we've supported a few other bands that have kind of been our heroes. Even Sigur Rós, we supported them once as well, and I think even just watching a show is kind of a lesson. You kind of take a lot from it as a band, just being like, oh, okay, wow, that's how they do it, cool.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. So I have to say, you guys are so insanely talented. It's really awesome to listen to your music.
Thank you.
But they have Dirty Bangs on right now, and then they have Bully and they have Fiddler, and they're all just sort of these like crazy rockin' acts dancing, and then your music is a little bit different. So I know that with festivals, it's not exactly like the festive, upbeat, dancey. How do you deal with that? Because people who come to your shows obviously know what to expect, but how do you sort of like adjust this for a festival?
I think the key is not to adjust it and hope that people don't just walk away.
I don't think they will. Trust me.
I think
it was.
We played a festival yesterday, and we were thinking about like what the set list should be, and then we just chucked in probably 2 of our most depressing songs, and just thought, let's just go with it and see what happens. And actually, it was really beautiful.
It's a nice moment,
it's kind of like you just have to be the band you are. I think trying to put loads of crowd pleasers in is like not really our vibe. So
because yesterday US Royalties were playing just before us, and they were great, but there was just like so much rock and roll going on. And then so it just sort of dawned on us that what was going to happen next when we came on stage. But I think that's one thing, is just sort of assessing sort of what kind of gig you're playing and how the crowd is really makes a difference, and just trying to work on the right set lists, something that often we'll just do at the last minute, where we might just still swap something around, because it's a big thing. And yesterday, what was really nice, a lot of people there were really just for the music, so I think they were intently listening and very supportive, so it was really nice, and I'm sure today it's sounding like it will be the same as well.
Exactly. And my favorite one of these sort of like nice pairings was Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros, 15 minutes later, the National, which was just sort of very interesting to watch.
Oh, nice.
And so you guys released If You Leave in 2013, a little ways ago. When was the last time you listened to the album sort of through? I know you play it every night, but have you listened to the recording?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Since. Maybe a couple of times after, just to check that there was nothing wrong with the mastering or like mixing.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've listened to it through since. Maybe just because we play it live a lot. I don't know. Maybe I have listened to it. I'm not sure. I think every time I listen to it, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting vocal I did there. In a sort of like, that's a bit out of tune, but never mind. It's a critical thing, I think.
I've definitely listened to it since, especially towards the end of finishing the new record. I just was quite curious to go and listen to what I had done before, and Yeah, I mean it's interesting. It takes you a few years to sort of let it go totally and be like just enjoying it for what was the original intention, because you can sort of get bogged down by some of the more technical things, or I could have played this a bit better. I play this better now that I've played it for 2 years.
True, very true. So now, can we expect some new music from you guys soon?
Hopefully. It's in the process of coming out at some point.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. And so I know that the last...
So vague.
Yeah. So vague. Don't worry. I know that you
Just
can't...
trying to keep the mystery.
Exactly. And it'll be great. So I know that for the last album, you sort of went into the English countryside to record it and sort of retreated. Did you guys do this for the upcoming release too, or...?
No, quite the opposite. We went to New York.
Oh, wow.
We stayed in London we live in London, so we wrote it and recorded it in a space that we were renting in southeast London. East, it doesn't really matter. But we set up a space and demoed it and wrote it and demoed it there, and then and then we basically were sort of chatting to Nicholas Varens, or Vernes. I never know how to say his surname, but he's a beautiful man. And he is in New York, and so we just really wanted to work with him, and we also just thought it would be kind of a change of scenery, change of everything. Like even just being in a new city, I think makes you a bit more revitalized, and I think that's kind of what we needed after a year of writing and demoing. So yeah, it was great. Actually, it was super fun, and I think we all love. It was super fun and stressful.
No, I was more laughing because it was just the new city, and I was like, yeah, because we're playing in York or New York in England.
Right. England joke.
I imagine that just the change in city would bring a different feel to the album, just by that alone. But
yeah,
totally. I'm going to ask the question that I've been asking a lot of artists this festival. Ryan Adams just released Taylor Swift's 1989 from front to back. Yeah. So if you could do that with one album, who do you think? What album do you think you'd choose?
Oh, that's so really difficult. I can't think. Can you think? Does it need to be like similarly? It needs to be similarly far away from what you're doing.
I think it's just maybe because I guess what Ryan Adams was trying to do was like sort of showing that behind all the poppiness there was like a good song
and
or something.
It's amazing. I've heard a few of the songs, and he's really nailed it.
But so it's just like what would be. I don't know. It's really hard.
It's really hard.
Oh no, don't worry.
I think you would do like a Destiny's Child album, definitely.
Oh, I actually do know most of the lyrics to most Destiny's Child songs. Yeah, Destiny's Child album.
Destiny's Child,
sure.
Okay, perfect.
Or any Beyonce. I do love Beyonce.
And now, do you think that there would anyone that would do a particularly good job of If You Leave?
Beyonce.
I can hear that. That would be awesome. And then so this will be my last question for you guys. I know we have a set coming up. Who has your ear right now? Who are you guys listening to?
Who are we listening to? I think the Sufjan Stevens, I know it's not that new anymore, but when we were recording, I think that was a really beautiful album that it was something that, because when we're writing and recording, maybe it's different for the guys, but I don't tend to listen to a lot when I'm writing.
Me neither.
And so that was definitely something that when we got sort of out of the recording process, that was just kind of like this album that was kind of like a light at the end of this tunnel, just like, it's so beautiful. So yeah, listening to that relentlessly. And yeah, I don't know. Well, we're just, I guess, now that we're out of the cave of recording, we can definitely look forward to being at festivals and checking out bands and stuff and listening to stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. How about you?
Nice. And then so I'm sorry, I know I said that was the last question, but you said something interesting there. Why don't you listen when you record, or write, I should say?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's kind of it's the quiet that I think is quite important for writing, but also I've always had this fear that I'm going to wake up one morning and be like, oh, I've come up with this amazing guitar part, and then realise that it's just off that record I've been listening to. So I feel like there's a slight fear of plagiarism, but also...
We're so exposed to music in general, just everyone, not just us as musicians, but, you know, you always, and you unconsciously really just assimilate so much from everything else that if you sometimes get sort of, especially if there's a record you really like and you kind of obsess over it and keep on listening to it, you're bound to for that to seep into your own music. So it's I think it's something I definitely consciously avoid that as well. Yeah. So I'm just catching up on a bunch of records that haven't you know that came out a while ago but I just didn't listen to.
Well, that's really interesting. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with us, and have a great set.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.